Hey Crestwood, happy Wednesday to you. Hope you all are doing well. I am back in town after a quick whirlwind trip to Grinnell, Iowa to watch my daughter Molly graduate. Drove there Sunday after church. Graduation Monday, drove back yesterday. So still getting my sea legs under me after a lot of time on the road, but what a joy that was. What a joy it is to be with you, to bring you this devotional for this Wednesday, May 20th, the official 25th anniversary of my ordination. That is crazy. But I want to tie that to what I witnessed on Monday, which was Molly graduating from Grinnell College. She has a BA in anthropology. She's going on to Chicago, University of Illinois, Chicago, to study urban planning. And the graduation ceremony was such a joyous occasion. Several speakers. The commencement speaker was Chase Strangio, who is the first transgender person to argue a case before the Supreme Court. Such a powerful and inspiring speech. Got to watch all the people graduate. And at the end, the president of Grinnell was sort of giving her charge to the graduates. And she shared a quote. I can't remember who it's from, but the quote was, I studied, I loved, I labored, unsparingly and hopefully. And I thought that was such a beautiful encapsulation, not only of what those students had been through. They had studied, they had loved, they had labored, certainly unsparingly, but also hopefully. But also for me, it encapsulated what a life of faith is about, who we are called to be as Christians. It reminds me of my time in seminary leading up to ordination. There was a lot of studying, didn't always love it, and there was a lot of labor, and it was done unsparingly, but it was also done hopefully. And I love that the quote ends with the word hopefully, because as I looked out at the hundreds of graduates who were going to go on to do amazing things in this world, there was so much hope in that room. And a lot of the speakers talked about that, how we in our older generations, our hope comes from those younger generations. It comes from those graduates who still believe they can change this world. They are not jaded enough. They are not apathetic yet. They still believe that they can make a difference in this world. So can we, caveat, but they believe it. They haven't been told that they can't. And so there was so much hope and excitement in that room. And that's where my hope comes from today. It comes from Molly and Sydney and the younger generations who are willing to stand up for what they believe in, to try to make a difference in this world, not just for themselves, but for other people maybe who don't have a voice. There's so much hope that comes from that for me. And I tie that to a life of faith to say the life of faith is about studying, right? How are we continuing to learn and grow in our faith, in our understanding of Scripture, in who God is calling us to be? How are we loving in a way that reflects God's love that is in each one of us and that pours out from us to others? How are we laboring for God's kingdom? Faith isn't just an intellectual exercise. It's not just about study, but it's about putting what we learn into action. How are we laboring to make God's kingdom real here on earth, and to do so unsparingly, to make sure that that is a priority for us each and every day. Every decision we make, every interaction we have can be one of the ways we put another brick in the building of God's kingdom, or it can be a way that we tear it down. So how are we doing so unsparingly, making sure that everything we do is a reflection of God's love in this world? And ultimately, how are we doing it hopefully? How are we living in such a way that we believe the promises of God will come true? You know, the Bible in Hebrews defines faith as belief in things unseen, or hope in things unseen. I have hope that even against the evidence of what we see going on in our country and world today, that God is present and God is active and Christ is working to bring about good things for all those who call on God's name. A lot of my hope not only comes from my faith, not only comes from Scripture, it comes from those young adults that I watched walk across that stage and then take their diploma and get ready to go to whatever is next for them as they move forward in life. I have a lot of hope in that generation. I have a lot of hope in the promises of God, who promises to be with us, who promises not to forsake us, who promises to love us, and who calls us to love others. In spite of the evidence, there is so much reason in our world to have hope, and we can provide that hope for others. So Crestwood, I want to encourage you today to think about, where does your hope come from today? And to acknowledge that, to give thanks for that, and then to live out that hope in the ways that you give hope to others. People are looking to us as followers of Christ to know that there's still a reason to have hope in this broken world. How can we show them that hope today? I know you can. I see it in you. God bless you, Crestwood.